My name is Michael VanRooyen. I'm the director of the Harvard Humanitarian Initiative at Harvard University and the chairman of emergency medicine at Brigham and Women's Hospital. Hurricane Harvey made landfall in Texas on August 25th and has distributed over 40 inches of rain and caused extensive flooding in the Houston area. The emergency relief effort has involved national officials, state officials, and local organizations, and is focused on huge numbers of evacuations as well as providing relief services to affected communities. This event and the aftermath, both the immediate response and sort of the long-term rehabilitative efforts, will inspire us as a nation actually to look at ways that we can actually get better at this. Some of these will focus on urban planning and the need for better preparedness and better planning. Some of it is looking at response capacity and the ways that we think about evacuation, for example. Some of it is looking at medical assets and facilities like hospitals, for example, and their ability to be resilient in crises like this. And some of it is looking at just the effectiveness and cost effectiveness of rebuilding and how to rebuild. So there are many lessons learned from Katrina. This is not Katrina. It's actually in many ways bigger and more extensive, but also the vulnerabilities are different. Floods are incredibly devastating for financial reasons. They destroy everything. And so those communities, especially people that have fewer financial resources, are going to be really stressed in this case. They'll be dependent on state funding, national funding, and the support of local communities to kind of get back on their feet. So a common question to me and to our organization is what can we do to help and what's the most effective way to help? One thing I would say is to avoid, if you can, gift-in-kind donations. Sending goods and materials to the relief site often is very difficult to get to people on the ground, and it doesn't necessarily reach it in time and can clog up the relief pipeline. So I'd say that in a general principle, financial services and finances are better. I always recommend go local. So the more you can identify local resources and local responders to help them do their job is probably the most effective. Now that's not always easy to do, to find reputable local organizations that work with their communities. I then look at organizations that can get local. So one that we identified we think is probably a good idea is that the mayor's Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund, I think, makes a lot of sense, and they can help set that up and distribute those funds. I've also often recommended the American Red Cross because I believe that their ability to mobilize volunteers and leverage volunteers has been really good in the past. So I think that there's ways to try to get your funding local. There are lessons to be learned from this, like any major crisis, and things that will have happened that will be very successful and it will have been done correctly and well, and there'll be things that need to be improved on. There always will be. So I think it's really good to look at this and find ways that we can improve as a nation our efforts to prepare for disasters.